there.
Hi, Kathy Campbell. It's been so long.
I know. Spoiler alert for a little back end. We just recorded last week's episode 10 minutes ago.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that's how the sausage is made.
Oh, OPSEC. You're on... Where are you right now?
Right this very second, I'm at home. But
no.
with this, I know I had to do that. I am in Disney World.
Oh God, I'm so jealous of future you. Ugh.
I'm so excited. Oh my gosh! But holy cow, has the anxiety ramped up? I know I will be fine as soon as I get to the airport, but so I mean, we have talked a lot about travel. Mm-hmm. In these 8 episodes that we've done.
Well, we both do a lot. A whole shit ton of it.
Yeah, it's very true. And so our flight leaves really early, and it's a direct flight.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm super excited for. But that just also means it's harder to fix if we miss it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's like we have a 6-hour flight. And I don't want to ruin our entire vacation for missing the flight. Now, granted, I've been flying a lot in my life, and I have never missed a flight, knock on wood. But this one specifically would really suck to miss. So my goal is to not miss it. Yeah, so that just means we're going to get there really freaking early in so many different ways. We're going to get there early in time of day because our flight leaves at 6:30 in the morning, and early in time of leaving the house.
Can I make a guess?
Yes, you may guess.
2:30 a.m.
Oh, we're after that. We're not that early.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How long does it take to get to the airport?
About 45 minutes, but we're going to plan for an hour.
Okay. 3:30 a.m.?
That is correct.
Okay.
To which my brother is not very impressed.
I was taking into O'Hare, which is our airport, not PDX. So
gotcha.
that makes sense.
Yeah. No, so we're leaving our house at 3:30, which my brother is just not going to go to bed.
Nor would I.
Cannot. Whereas the thought of I have a hard time staying up until midnight. There's no way I would survive 3:30.
Well, you're not an anxious flyer though, are you? You have anxiety around traveling, but the being on the plane part is okay for you, right?
Correct. Yeah. So he's gonna pick us up because we're the main source of the anxiety, above and beyond the fact that it's a direct flight, don't want to mess up the blah, 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 is the fact that we are utilizing the benefit he receives as a veteran to park for free at the airport, which means we have to take the shuttle, which means the shuttle needs to be working and consistent and not break down, and that added bonus of uncontrollingness that I have no control over means that it's a little stressful.
Oof.
Yeah. But it's all going to be fine. It's all going to be great.
It is. And oh man, I think we should have our Disney episode after you come back and it's fresh in. And I'll spend the next 2 weeks preparing Disney notes. In the last episode, you dropped a bomb on me that I I don't have a mute button on this mic, so I had to stifle a squelch because you were a fucking intern at Disney.
was.
You were part of the Disney, what was it called? The Disney program or whatever?
The Disney College program, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, it
you're a
was.
rock star.
It was so well, and we'll get into this deeper because it was both an amazing experience and a terrible experience.
I've heard that from every single person.
Well, and I actually did not graduate that program. I left about 2 weeks before it was finished. Because of the housing situation.
Oh God, cliffhanger. Well, how?
I mean, we can talk about it now.
Yeah,
if
I
you want.
gotta know now. I gotta know.
okay.
I can't wait 2 weeks.
Okay, so I was lucky enough to be a part of the Kilimanjaro Safari team. So I drove the real trucks around the real animals, with the real information and the real feel. Like, it's pretty much one of the most selective and elite college program jobs you can get.
I was going to say, I trust you to drive me around wild animals, but even college you? But most college children? No. And I'm only 4 years out of college, and I would not.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I'm sorry.
Out of several, I don't know if 100 or thousands. I don't know how many people.
Oh, it's definitely thousands.
Yeah. Well, in each grouping, but there were 3.
Oh man, you really were a superstar. Good Lord.
Yeah. So, like, unfortunately, that meant so I turned 22 2 weeks after I started there. And because of like my age, and I wanted to make sure that other people were responsible and whatnot. So even though I wasn't a major drinker, I requested to be in an over 21 like housing unit. Okay. So I shared with 5 other girls, all of whom had more menial type jobs. Also, I joined because I was on semesters, not quarters, like the rest of the world. I came into the program about a month and a half after everyone else had already started. So I joined an existing apartment of grouping.
Oh no.
Which,
I'm not saying oh no because of you. I'm saying oh no because not all young girls, but oh boy.
Yeah. On top of that, I had this amazing gig. I was living with 2 people that cleaned hotels, 1 food service, 1 custodian, and then 1 person that worked in a shop. On top of that, I'm a very white girl, and they were not. And so there were all of these things that were kind of stacked against the entire situation.
Oh, so you were basically the fancy white lady who got to drive around the pretty animals.
Right.
Yeah.
And so additionally, everyone else worked, not necessarily, like some of them worked like the night shift or like later in the day, whereas my day usually started about 5 or 6 a.m. So I needed to go to bed earlier. At one point, they were having some sort of party in the living area, and I asked them nicely to at least turn down the music and be a little bit quieter. And one of the girls proceeded to tell me that, oh, I was just dreaming right now. I needed to turn my pasty white ass around and go back to bed.
Oh boy.
So at this point, it was just kind of like, okay, I didn't feel safe in my room because I shared the room and shared the apartment. Like, so there was no safe place for me to go. So even though this was all through the college program, Disney did not own the housing. The housing was a different company, and they managed all of that. And so, like, I submitted my request to move because of I didn't feel safe and all of that. And they were like, okay, fine. But it took some time to process. And so most nights I would spend at a friend's couch who lived right below us in the apartment complex, who was also a Kilimanjaro safari driver. So then I could just go up and get my clothes to change. But I had a safe place to sleep, which was good. So I was able to move to a different apartment, which ended up almost being a worse situation.
Oh no.
This was a under 21, so the other two girls were under 21, and I walk in, and one of the girls was like, "Hey, will you buy me some alcohol?"
No.
I'm like, no, not only is that
No.
illegal, I don't even know you. Why would no. So that hit it off to a great start. They were both from Oregon. So I was like, oh, hey, we have a connection. One of them did retail and one of them did something else. I don't remember. But like the girl that asked me for alcohol at one point came into our room because I was sharing with the other girl, who was very sweet, very kind. I was woken up because the girl that asked me for alcohol sat on my bed while I was trying to sleep, wasted out of her mind. So we had to start locking our door.
Oh my god.
So she wouldn't come in and like vomit on us. And
my god.
it was just like ridiculous. So after I moved into this other apartment, we actually got internet in our apartments. So I didn't have to go to the computer room anymore. It was still dial-up, and there was only one slot to plug the jack in, but I could do it on my laptop. It was great. And this was how...
Wait, what kind of laptop did you have?
It was not an Apple laptop.
But still.
Yeah, I think it was a Dell.
Still good build quality.
Oh, yeah. It was solid.
I'm sorry.
I don't remember specifics. But yeah, it was a big black ugly thing. But yeah, the problem is the jack was behind the couch. And in order to access it, I had to move the couch, which apparently was a big deal because the couch was being used to watch TV by someone. So when I asked nicely if they would move, they said no. Okay.
Oh god, this is my nightmare.
It gets worse.
Oh no.
So at this point was also when Ryan and I were starting a relationship, which is a whole other conversation about how we met and started talking and whatnot. But we would talk on the phone for like 4 hours a night. And I would do it also while sometimes out in the living room so I could be on the computer at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I'm talking on the phone and the girl comes home, or I swear she didn't even work. Anyways, she told me I needed to shut up and like stop talking and just turned up the TV, to which I asked her to turn it down because I was on the phone. She's like, no, blah, blah, blah. I can't hear you. This TV is too loud. Like the really sassy, childish crap.
Oh, God.
So I stood up to go get the remote to turn it down, to which she like shoved me against the windowsill.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Ah!
And in order to not murder someone, I chose to walk away instead.
Oh my God. Oh my God. My God.
And I filed a report and basically was told there was nothing that they could do because there was no proof. It was he said, she said. Like it just became this huge, gigantic, like elephant in the room thing, even though they the reason that I was able to move into this apartment in the first place was because this same girl had scared off another person.
Oh my
there
gosh.
was documented crap against this girl, but it didn't matter.
Oh my God.
And so like I was working through, there was a possibility of like, hey, I'll stay with some of the other Kilimanjaro people, like finish this out, because it was July and the program ended in August. And I couldn't do it. At this time I was engaged to Ryan. All I wanted to do was go home. I hated the heat. Like the heat was terrible. And I also had received, I have tennis elbow now because of the trucks.
Oh my God.
So like all of these things made me want to just like curl up and hide in a corner. I was super supported by my safari team. Like they were awesome. But I just was like, nope, I'm done. So I ended up leaving before my thing was over.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's okay when you've literally been assaulted by your roommate.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, everyone is a bitch. Also, I was assaulted.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, okay. This is an interesting... This has now captivated my attention because not that you're not always captivated, but your college experience has now captivated my attention. Because...
Yeah, we also haven't ever talked about the fact that like I went to an all-girls college for 2 years in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, for the beginning of my college program.
I think we did at one point, and my only response was, ooh, hot.
We talked about it in person when we discussed getting yelled at that we were lesbian boyfriend stealers. But never on the podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What made you, was there a reason that you chose to go to an all-girls school, or was it a scholarship, good, like great academics? Did they have a program you wanted?
It was a mixture of multiple things. The biggest thing was it was the college my mom went to.
Ah, okay.
And so I was a legacy. It also, so I went to, don't be creepy, I went to Cotty College in Nevada, Missouri, which is tiny and it's privately owned. The year that I was there were about 300 girls. And from what I can remember, it was like 46 different states and like a dozen countries in this tiny school. So the ability to like get this amazing range of people and stories and whatnot, the teachers were amazing. The food was incredible. It was run by like a 4-star chef guy was in charge of the food. It was a suite type of living situation. So we had multiple rooms around like a living and kitchen and bathroom. And then my second year, which we call it the senior year because again, it was a 2-year program when I went. We, in our 2-week spring break, we did the first week in a city in Europe for basically free, which was pretty incredible. And so like all of these opportunities, but it also helped me like really clarify what I wanted to do. Because you don't really major. You didn't really major. You chose either an associate's in science or an associate in arts. And so that was interesting to just kind of get these prerequisites done, and then you could transfer pretty much anywhere and have next to no issues.
That just makes so much sense.
Right?
Like, I had a similar experience, but not necessarily, it was by choice in a lot of aspects. I went to Marquette in Milwaukee for 2 years because my dad went there, and I went to a college prep high school, and that's just what you did. You tried to get it into a good school, presumably one your parents went to, and get good scholarships and all that. And then realized that it was terrible and I hated it, and went to art school. And to my parents, gratitude, they were not they were completely supportive, and in fact, like, as I got my other college acceptance letters, because they kind of like all roll in at different times,
right.
Like they were like, oh my god, that's so great. I'm like, yeah, whatever, fine, I'm waiting for Marquette, because it was my decision to go, and I'm like, yeah, DePaul, whatever, like, oh, fine. And but it was kind of, oh wait, no, I only went to Marquette for a year, but because I was in college prep school, I got almost like an entire semester worth of classes out of the way because of AP classes, which is such a huge privilege to have. And it was a private school. It did cost money, but it cost less than most because it was a Catholic school. And like, I didn't realize at the time how hard high school for me was, like academically, because then I got there and I'm like, oh, this is it? Really? Like, I thought this was just gonna be like high school but harder, but really it was high school with like roommates,
right,
but
a different type of hard, but overall easier, really.
It was so much easier, which was kind of why well, there's a lot of reasons why I left. Again, spoiler teasers for future episodes. But I was super, super bored with like the academia stuff, whereas like you did have to choose your major, and so I double majored in communication, journalism, and social justice. Yes, that is a thing at Catholic colleges. And this, yeah, oh boy, I was a social justice warrior before it was cool.
Before it was an acronym.
I was an SJ Dubs before Gamergate. Come at me.
Hey.
But it was very silly because within the first like 2 months I realized, I'm trying to, for all of my class projects, if it wasn't a paper and it was some other sort of dumb, like make a diorama or make a PowerPoint, like blah blah blah, and instead you could make a film, I would always make a film, and I would be the only one who made a film. And honestly, I think I got better grades just because like teachers didn't understand what iMovie was and thought that I put a ton of work into it. Thank you, Apple, for those amazing,
for your degree, basically.
Yeah. And so that was the only thing that felt not only creatively fulfilling, but intellectually fulfilling. Whereas with you, it sounds like there was a lot of room for everybody to sort of explore and learn, like find yourselves, because you're still teenagers,
right? And that's the other thing is, because it's so small, I mean, you got to know your teachers. I mean, some of my classes were like 6 people, and so they would reach out to you if you weren't in class.
Oh, that's great.
It was a great step up to adulting. So you go from high school and then you're thrown into this college experience where, like, there's thousands of people and nobody really cares about you as a person. Like, they just want your money, basically. Maybe if you like have roommates and don't live on campus or whatever, like, you'll have a family unit in that place, in that sense of it. But this school, I mean, it was... there were a lot of like traditions, we would have, like, there were songs that we would sing. There's a thing so the seniors, the second year students were called seniors, and they would take care of the freshmen. And there were different events, pretty much like one a month of like interaction. So singing and like events where we would, like, there was a Halloween one, and at the end of the year, like during graduation, there's a lot of things that the freshmen would do for the seniors to thank them for what the seniors did for like, just basically was hardcore, you're part of this community type of a thing. And you had a better chance at like, you know, trying out what is it called, like president, vice president, like things, leadership roles, because there's fewer people to fight against, and so you feel more empowered to do that, and more empowered to like do class, to do like plays or different community like group projects, and just like all of this thing that really like empower and teach you how to make decisions, but not too scary, because like the town, it's 2 hours from Kansas City and an hour from Joplin, so you can't just like hop over to the big city or whatever to do anything. And because it was only 2 years, no one could drink before they graduated, so it was already a dry campus. Granted, you could find parties. Spoiler alert, mom and dad, yes, I did go to parties and drink, but like I know, shocking, but like we didn't. And it's funny because it's a lot lighter than when my mom went there, because she would tell me stories about how they would make, you know, jungle punch in the bathtubs. And they'd have boys climbing in through the windows, and like all of these
scandalous
things. Yes, so scandalous. But I was a goody two shoes and didn't really want to. But also, like, I was in school, I was there for college and learning, but there was also so much extra time because I didn't have these extracurriculars. I did have a job. My first job was at college. I worked the front desk to sign guests in and out. So that was a thing. But that was it. And so I had a lot of time, extra time to read. I watched a lot of movies and kind of television. And this is where I first learned that, television comes on at a specific time and day, like new episodes, because I'd always just watched reruns. And so it'd be like whatever show episode comes on, and you may have seen it before or maybe not. And yeah, so all of these things in place that just like you get to learn how to be an adult in a fairly safe environment. And so I hope that my daughter chooses to go there, although now it's a 4-year school too. So I don't know how that has changed things. And I think there's still the 2-year associates option. But that's a long time from now for her, because nope, she's 9. Oh my gosh. It's way closer than
no, man. you have nearly a decade. She's gonna be young forever. She's never gonna leave.
Yeah.
What did you do after? So it was 2 years, and then did you transfer to a 4-year college?
Yeah, then I transferred to the University of Oregon.
That's right. Yeah.
And so it was close enough to home, but also like I could do the in-state tuition. And at this point, so when I was younger, I wanted to be an animator. That is what I wanted to do. And so going to Cotty allowed me to like really think about it and realize that I did not have that drive to be an animator. And that like fighting that you needed to have to be able to like make it, especially because this was during that big transition in like Disney where they were going towards strictly computer animation. There was no traditional animation. They had shut down the animation department in Florida, like, and moved everybody to California. Like, it was this whole thing where I didn't want to do the computer stuff. Now I think, yeah, I probably could have, but it doesn't matter. I just didn't want to do it. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go into multimedia design, like kind of do that artsy type stuff, I guess, but like wasn't really sure what specifically I wanted to do, and kind of just floated for a bit until my I was told that I wouldn't graduate anytime soon, and that's when I transferred to sociology.
I didn't know that's what your degree was in.
Yep. So I have a Bachelor of Science in sociology. Because my math classes transferred, because I did calculus and Calc 2 in college at Cody, and those transferred enough to give me that requirement. So I didn't do the arts degree because I couldn't do language. So that is why I have my Bachelor in Science.
That is so interesting. Man, college is horrible. I hate, oh God.
It's so scary. What is life even? And you're putting your hands in these, like, you're trusting these adults that don't really care.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
To make your future decisions. Yeah, it's interesting.
I so lucked out. I mean, I did, have the privilege of having oh my God, my parents were saints, because I had not a full ride to Marquette, but like like as much as you could get without financial humble brag, couldn't get any needs-based scholarships, but was able to get an academic scholarship because like good grades, and I also went to a Catholic school. And when I left / dropped out / quit Marquette, I was almost went to DePaul, which is a school here in Chicago in the city, also a Jesuit Catholic school, great school, but there's another I like to call it the bad Columbia, because it's actually called Columbia College, not because it is a university, but they can't call it Columbia University because that's in New York.
Is one. Yeah.
Yep. So Columbia College Chicago is a school specifically in downtown Chicago, and it is purely arts focused, from fine art to fashion to film and animation and game design, as well as creative writing, like anything that doesn't involve numbers, pretty much, which and if you're listening to this in September 2018, it's not super, it's real gross. Like, colleges are often very gross, but this is one of those schools that pretty much admits everybody, because they don't give out a lot of scholarships because they want everybody's money. They really don't care whether or not you graduate.
Yeah.
And I knew all of this. I don't even think my parents knew the extent of this. It wasn't so bad 4 years ago. Oh God, now I've been out of school longer than I've been in school.
Oh, honey.
Okay. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. No, please age shame me. It's. I want to be an adult. I don't know why this is a crisis.
I graduated from college long enough ago to have a teenager.
Oh God.
Like my diploma on my wall is a teenager. How's that?
Oh, well, I don't have a diploma. That will be a good end to this story. So, so I went to my mom, and I had actually secretly applied to Columbia as well as DePaul, and it was almost set in stone. Like, we'd done the orientation, all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, so, DePaul's film program is great. Like, their multimedia stuff is awesome, but I have all my extracurriculars, or no, not extra core. Wait, what are the basic ass ones called? The regular credits. Oh, I should know. I have officially been out of college too long. Prerequisites.
There you go.
There you go. So I had all my prereqs done because of Marquette, and also because while Marquette did not accept 3s on the AP tests, for if folks don't know, the advanced placement or classes in high school, you take a test at the end of the year to determine whether or not you can get college credit for it, basically, and different schools accept different grades, but they're just numbered 1 through 5. So I unfortunately AP in my AP Chem class and AP Stats class, because I'm a big old science dum-dum, or I've been exactly, with the asterisk of that was what I've been told my entire life.
Right.
And had never had test anxiety ever, except in those situations. No. I got a 3, which is essentially a C. And Marquette didn't take that. They only took 4 and above. But Columbia they're like, oh yeah, heck yeah, come on in, 3s. We take 2 and 3s. Yeah, you got all your math and science done. But my mom looked at me as if I had told her that as if I was like dropping out of college.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Just was like, you sure? And I explained all like my reasoning, and explained I actually had fairly good reasons that I stand by. One was like the credits, every credit transferred over, and 2, their documentary program, and still now, is phenomenal. It was very small. It had like they had I'm gonna do the name dropping. Like, I worked directly with Steve James and Alex Gibney, and even Ken Burns would come and give talks. Like, it was bonkers, like off the chain. Like, man, this is I just called my documentary classes off the chain.
Yes, you did.
Oh boy. Well, people should not be surprised, but that is at that point I had experimented enough and learned I hate all of this, and was like, but I love all of these people. I love their work, and they had a lot of female filmmakers who were working and who had
awesome.
And I'm like, this is where I want to go. And essentially I ignored the rest of the school and just I kept my head down in the documentary worlds, and that is what I did for 3 years. And it was and I met my now partner in the only history class I had to take, because you needed like 3 credits, and I had my other ones from high school, but I think we all called it gay history. I forget what the name of the class was. But of course we met there.
Of course.
And so then I graduated with a degree in, oh God, they called it Cinema Arts and Sciences.
Wow.
They couldn't just call it filmmaking. They had to call it Cinema Arts and Sciences.
Well, you have to have it fancy so it looks good on your diploma thing.
But and this is normal. Most schools, they when you walk or whatever it's called, they give you the fancy booklet, but not the actual diploma, right?
Right.
So I did all that, and because I was a transfer student, you have to do like the diplomas are basically held in a different office. And so I went there like, oh, nope, you got to go here. Oh, no, you got to go here. And I was so lucky to have been hired the day of my graduation party that essentially my job came in the way of me picking up the actual piece of paper that says I have graduated college. So, and now the bursar's office has moved so many times to different parts of the loop in downtown Chicago that I've kind of given up. Like, I have no, like, if someone were to ask me and, like, prove that I have a college degree, I can't. I mean, I guess I could try to log into my old account and be like, yeah, here, but it's not like I have a PDF of my diploma.
Well, the nice part is that, like, the diploma really doesn't matter. You can pretty much put whatever you want on like a job app, and nobody really cares.
I hope at this point, like, even if Max turned around and was like, you didn't go to college, and be like, well, what you gonna do? Like,
right? You can prove that you can do the job. And that's the thing, is that, like, so often that piece of paper, it does not matter what your degree is in. As long as you have that piece of paper that just says, hey, you went to college and paid enough money to prove that you can finish something.
It's basically a receipt.
Yes. Yes. A very, very expensive receipt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I at first I really wanted it because just for my parents to be like, seriously, thank you. Like, here's your very, very, very expensive receipt, because Columbia also does not offer they only offer need-based scholarships. And my family wasn't eligible for that, so it was all really expensive student loans, because we also didn't. Oh God, our country is so fucked up. Like,
yeah, it is.
On paper, like, my parents would be super duper rich if they didn't spend money on their, all 5 of their kids' educations. But they did. So, like, even like, I'd fill out the FAFSA every year and like, haha, no, your parents would make,
here, have your parents sign up for these options. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. So, there were no academic based scholarships, and they paid for everything. And God, Mom and Dad, if you're listening to this, seriously, I thank them like once a week, because still, like, everything good in my life is because of, I can't believe I am like as queer and crazy as I am, and my parents still love and support me.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
That's a teaser for a future episode, by the way, is how awesome both of our parents are.
Yeah, that's something we have in common that's like so weird anyway, more teasers. But a fun surprise a couple months after I graduated was, you get another like receipt, and then I saw that it was it said minor in gender and sexuality studies, and I'm like, what? Wait, what? And apparently I just took enough classes, and you didn't have to take many, that because of that gay history class, and I did a bunch of like pretty much every class that you could take, they had like a queer version of it, because it's an art school in Chicago. So I took a shit ton of queer film classes, and that counted towards gender studies. And then a couple years, I'm still kind of trying to get my diploma, but as of last year, they like decreased the credits that you need even more. So now I have a double major in filmmaking and gay, basically.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
I don't know what to and okay. So this isn't a ringing endorsement for Columbia College Chicago. However, people should really be creepy, look at the amazing production house called Cartemquin, and also Ruth Lightman's films. And I'm going to stop plugging all of my wonderful, beautiful mentors. But yeah, college. Wow. also I ended up not having a roommate not my last year at Columbia, but my second year there. Most people, not most, but a lot of people live on campus all 4 years because while it's very expensive, it's almost as expensive as just having your own apartment.
Yeah.
And in some cases it's safer because, you know, there's security guards everywhere, and
it's easier to like not, you don't have to necessarily deal with trying to find a place to live.
yeah, exactly. The only reason I lived off campus my senior year was because it was closer to, don't be creepy, Cartemquin, where I was interning. My best friend from high school, he was going to grad school there at Columbia, so his parents basically did all of the like looking for the apartment. They like paid a realty broker, which if you're looking for a cheap apartment in Chicago, this is like out of this world. Like, that's not something you do. Like, not because it's not even because it's ridiculously expensive. It's because it's completely ineffective because they have no more information than you do unless you're buying a place. But
Oh man.
yeah, I literally signed a lease without ever seeing the apartment, which it ended up being fine because it was an anomaly, and that the apartment was like huge, and our rooms were on opposite sides of the apartment. So we're still friends after living together for a year. Yeah, right. Honestly, that's the biggest accomplishment out of college.
That's really exciting. Congratulations.
I know. Thank you. I was very brave. Do you have roommates that were worse than the Disney situation?
Yeah, I don't think anything can top that.
I mean, like, did you? Yeah, I don't. Harassment and assault, hard to beat.
Right. We're laughing so we don't cry.
Yeah. Oh boy. But you only have a brother, right?
I have an older half brother and a half sister from my dad's first marriage.
I did not know you had a sister.
10 and 11 years older than me.
Okay, so you had a room to yourself then growing up?
Yes, I did.
What was it like having roommates for the first time?
It was interesting. We ended up being a lot more similar than expected, to the point we were both tall and skinny, so we shared clothes, which was not something I was expecting.
A movie.
Yeah,
That's
pretty much. And so we shared the room, and the rooms were pretty good sized at Cotty, and so like we had space to be ourselves, and we were both the same level of messiness, so we didn't necessarily have to, like, one of us wasn't this major neat freak and the other was, you know, a huge slob and stuff. And so like when we hand wrote letters to each other when we were matched up together, and then we arrived on the same day and went to purchase like our bedding and like room decorations together. So my roommate and I got to like get to know each other as we bought bedding and posters and stuff at the local Walmart.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
It was really cute because that's what my mom had done when she went with her roommate. Her parents did that for her, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cute. And so that's what we did too.
I had a not the exact opposite situation, but well, you've been to my office here in Chicago. Did you happen to use one of the restrooms when you were here?
I did. And that was before you had completely like wiped out everything. Spoiler for Dubai Friday. So it had the wooden racks of goodies.
Oh yeah. The goodies are still there, but now they're all painted and yeah. No comment on the office interior decorating choices that some of them have happened anyway, but they are fairly sizable, but
Yes.
they at Marquette, my dorm room was literally that size, except taller, because there were loft beds.
Oh wow.
Like you could stand next to each other, but not like in front of one another.
Wow.
And the building was circular, so as you got closer to the window,
What?
it got even more. But luckily, I had well, I almost asked when I was like, handwritten letters, why don't you just email it?
Because I'm old, yo.
and we like we talked on Facebook, but not that much, because we realized we had almost absolutely nothing in common. But that ended up being nearly, it was like perfect, because we were like aliens to one another, and we were like fascinated, and we were also the same. We weren't like super messy, but we were kind of the same had like a cluttered like creative clutteredness to it. And so she would have like her makeup and stuff everywhere, and her like rowing workout gear, because she did crew. That's what it's called. And I had like my cables everywhere, and like my cameras and shit. And so I would be like, what's that? And she'd be like, those are for lash extension. What the hell is that?
What
I'm
is
like,
this?
well, that's the new micro HDMI or micro USB standard. And we only lived together a year, but we ended up getting along really well. One, because of that, and two, because we had very different schedules, which was awesome. And and I think because we were so different, we tried to be very, very respectful of one another.
Well, and I think it's a personality type too, probably.
Yeah, I mean, we were actually, I think that was another thing. She saw that I was introverted and treated me like a scared little bunny. And there was a bit of a bump when it was our whole floor really bonded. It was co-ed dorms, but not co-ed floors.
Okay.
And once it became everybody assumed I had a boyfriend. I did not have a boyfriend. And I was staying at another dorm, and somehow she found out that like I was staying at a lady friend's apartment, or dorm room or whatever, and she never said anything, but it was suddenly like it went back to like, what is this creature? And then sort of like as we hung out as a group more, and then she eventually met my girlfriend and was like, oh, okay, nothing's changed. It was almost like it was almost like a movie where someone figures out like, oh, you're the same person I always knew. Like,
right.
It was very cute. And yeah, we still exchange like Christmas cards, and we have sort of like exact opposite lives. Like, she's a stay-at-home mom who like teaches, and that's the thing, we are both, it's I don't know, I think we're cute. Like it's one of those things where she's one of my longest acquaintances, actually.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, we both did good, didn't we? But for a while, I dropped off the mat because I left Marquette. But I'm so glad that you had your movie type situation, and I'm so glad that my first, because I was also expecting it to be a disaster, because I knew how small the rooms are, because my dad actually stayed at the same dorm. I had never shared a room with anybody before. And I was like, oh God, this is gonna be so bad.
How is this
gonna be
turn?
so
Yeah.
bad. I'm gonna, oh Lord. And everything was fine, probably because I was catastrophizing, and also not having like, sure, I had my own room, but I had 3 brothers who were right next door who could terrorize me constantly, and a little sister who took my stuff all the time. So really, even if my roommate had been kind of bad and like would have taken my stuff, it would have been par for the course.
Right. It would have been you had that experience in place. So it's not like you were an only child going to live with somebody after being, a spoiled brat out of there's a big difference.
Yeah. Oh man. I'm actually horrified. I'm surprised and kind of a little bit horrified how similar, not our experiences, but like how similar college in general has been the same in terms of social interactions.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess Tinder is more of a thing. I guess I like just missed that, like online dating thing, or rather the online swiping
hookup thing. Dating sites were, they were a thing, but it was, Match.com and that sort of whatnot. And yet I still managed to meet my husband online, not in a dating site thing.
Okay, well, that needs to be the next episode.
Yes. Man, we constantly tease our future episodes, which just means we will be around for a while because we have so many things to talk about.
Oh, people, you better please keep listening. Honestly, I don't. Stop listening, everybody. I give no fucks if people. I want to give fucks that people listen, but especially recently, people have noticed that I'm doing a lot of shows, and people are like, "Aren't you burnt out?" I'm like, "Well, definitely not this show because Kathy does literally all the work, and I just show up late every week." But because my job has so little structure, this is what is the structure of my weeks are now by recording a podcast once a day, and then I'm editing another podcast. I need a lot of room in my life for spontaneity, and creativity in my job, but I need some structure for my mental health, and this is it. Like, and the quote structure is I get to talk to my friends like at least once a week, like I don't know. Thank you, Kathy Campbell, for doing this show with me.
Thank you for letting me force you into it.
There was no forcing. There was well, one day we'll figure out. All right, here's a good compromise. By I'm gonna look back at find the first time that we talked about this via text. I bet there's some, like, I could search Twitter and find it, and then we'll figure out how long you tried to convince me to do this versus how long I've made you wait around for me while I'm late. And then once those times are the same, then I'll show up on time.
All right, deal.